Thank you, Saji. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Although it was totally predictable and even predicted, I didn't foresee that one of the tiniest organisms on Earth, a coronavirus, would bring human society and entire economies to a halt all over the world. Suddenly, shockingly, we saw that the functioning of society, our families, our schools, our businesses can change dramatically overnight, and trillions of dollars can be mobilized immediately in response if we want to, if we need to. It showed us that there are real consequences to breaching natural boundaries, and that our slow and inadequate response over these past decades to climate change and biodiversity loss is setting us up for much worse outcomes. And again, the most vulnerable among us will pay the highest price. We're getting a preview of the future that is hurtling toward us like a huge asteroid, unless we change course. So this truly is a learning moment, but what are we learning really? One thing we're learning, and I'll agree completely with Dr. Kitagawa, is that the battle to sustain nature and our very lives will be won or lost over the protection of rainforests, since this issue remains at the center of many global crises, including human health. Tropical deforestation creates the conditions for the emergence of new diseases like COVID-19. Climate. If tropical deforestation were a country, its annual contribution to climate change would be greater than the entire European Union. Biodiversity. Forests are key to addressing the extinction crisis because 2/3 of all plant and animal species live there. Food security, water for drinking and sanitation depends, and agriculture depends on healthy forests. Human rights. Conserving tropical forests is key to sustaining the culture and ways of life of indigenous peoples. When the rights of indigenous peoples are protected, so are forests. Now COVID-19 is making illegal logging, mining, poaching, and agribusiness even more dangerous to the people who are on the front line of the deforestation crisis. The solutions to tropical deforestation are well known. It comes down to public policies such as regulations, enforcement, and incentive, as well as individual action. And that's where all the viewers come in. So what should faith leaders prioritize to protect planet? As Dr. Kitagawa said, halting and reversing the destruction of rainforests must be very high on that list. And that is why we in the United Nations are so grateful to the women and men of faith for creating and driving the Interfaith Rainforest Initiative, an international multi-faith alliance that is bringing moral urgency and faith-based leadership to ending tropical deforestation. It's amazing to me that so many members of this distinguished panel are so key, who have made the Interfaith Rainforest Initiative possible, thanks to Dr. Kitagawa of Parliament of the World's Religions, thanks to Professor Karam of Religions for Peace, thanks to Reverend Fletcher for Green Faith, thanks to Reverend Kazanjan and to Rabbi Rosen and to the World Council of Churches and the Yale Forum on Religion and Ecology, thanks to the government of Norway and to Eric Soldheim. So what are the core messages that faith leaders can give in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic? I'd say the following. Religious leaders and faith communities can educate their constituencies and advocate with government and business authorities at all levels on the following 6 points. 1, raise awareness about the forest and human health connection. Just like with climate change, we have a moral responsibility not to leave our children a world that is biologically impoverished and unable to protect our health. 2, stop the illegal, unsafe, inhumane wildlife trade in markets that are potent sources of direct contact with disease. 3, demand that policymakers build back better with economic recovery plans that invest in nature-based solutions, that remove harmful subsidies for agriculture, energy, and fisheries that destroy nature, and provide positive, strong incentives for industries to shift to sustainable food systems, reforestation, and clean energy. Number 4, encourage deforestation-free business practice. Exert shareholder pressure to divest from deforestation and support progressive companies with deforestation-free supply chains. Number 5, and this relates to what Rabbi Rosen and Sadhvi have been saying, encourage deforestation-free lifestyles. One of the most potent actions any of us can take to protect nature and protect our health is to eat more plants. Excessive consumption of animals creates a trifecta of trouble, including the deforestation that we've talked about, wet markets, meat processing factories that cause zoonotic disease outbreaks and spread, and health comorbidities, including diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, and obesities. These make us highly susceptible to death by COVID-19, and we've seen that in New York in spades. Research shows that a plant-based diet can significantly lower the risk of these conditions, and that's why a diet focused on plant foods is more crucial now than ever. And sixth and last, stand up and defend Indigenous peoples. They are more at risk now than ever during the pandemic. Religious leaders may wish to help Indigenous leaders around the world in the face of renewed threats, attacks, and incursions on their lands. There are many Indigenous peoples' campaigns and movements that we can support. And finally, I'll say the engagement of moral, ethical, and spiritual voices in the rainforest crisis and the other environmental issues we've discussed today is one of the most important and encouraging and inspiring developments I've ever witnessed in my 30 years with the United Nations. And I believe the kind of powerful interfaith cooperation we see here today has the potential to literally turn the tide on these challenges. Please keep up the good work, and thank you.